Hello, everyone. We're here with Silver Hammer today. Morgan Lekstrom is President and CEO. Morgan, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me again, Peter.
All right, a pleasure. Morgan, why don't we jump right into it? Silver Hammer has several projects, all in the U.S., between Idaho and Nevada, and your most advanced is Silver Strand. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that project and what the path forward is.
Yeah, absolutely. It is our most advanced project. When we talk about where we're going as a company, we highlight it as our flagship. Being that it's past producing, it's in the Coeur d'Alene district, it has that large potential to be, I like to compare us to Lucky Friday, same formation, same area, same potential, down, long strike. So for us this year and going in the near future, we are absolutely looking at how we expand a resource down and along strike.
Okay.
So we're going to be drilling back in our underground. We had high success last year with our drilling campaign, and I plan on having a lot more success this year as well. Popping a lot more than 6 holes. Because we're so young, we got what we could from the drill and had a lot of success. So I mean, the great thing about Silver Strand is not only that it has this large exploration and potential. It's that we could turn it on. It was a past producer. There's a mill close by. I know they're looking to sell it. There's a whole bunch of catalysts there that can happen in very short order for us. But I want to turn it on in a meaningful way. I want to bring Silver Strand to life in a very large scale size, not just artisanal, small, hand to mouth. So it's going to take some work this year, and I think this year is going to be I know it's going to be transformative. So.
Excellent. Well, I know that given how you've operated it so far in terms of the exploration and so on, you've had a bit of a leg up in terms of the fact that, like you said, it is a past producer. You've been able to do some rehabilitation, go underground, and start doing your exploration from there.
Yeah. I mean, and that goes to a bit of my background, right? Coming from the mining side, from the building side, of actually being underground, so that. Typically as an exploration company, you're going to look on surface. You're going to start plowing in roads and start that. And I'm the other way. I'm like, we have an underground. It saves us a huge amount of money in drilling. We don't have to go through overburden, and we know where it is. We can see the vein. I mean, hopefully we'll see a lot more veins here in the very short future. So yeah, it's a cost-effective and quick way to drill. And we proved it out last year. We proved that we could do that. We proved there's mineralization 17 meters below surface. So, it's funny when you had the numbers that we did last year at 17 meters below surface. Remember that. Those are huge numbers at surface. People talk often. You look at Great Bear is a great example, or a lot of other junior to mid-tier producers. They're producing at a gram a ton gold. 80, 70 grams a ton silver on surface. We hit 8.8 grams a ton gold. We hit 392 grams a ton silver. We also have the cores from the past drill program, which is very interesting because that highlights a huge mineralized zone with up to 2,401 grams a ton silver equivalent over meters.
Wow. Yeah. So that's certainly pretty exciting, and it's going to be fun to watch and see how that progresses.
Yeah, it's exciting for us.
Absolutely. Sure. So we can talk a little bit about Eliza. Now, that's something you acquired not all that long ago. I know in some form you've gotten some boots on the ground, and maybe you can tell us about how that's been progressing.
Yeah, so like you said, we picked up the 2 projects up actually from Dave Forrest with Casey Research. Does a newsletter writer for them. And they're in the historic Hamilton district, the Eliza project that we're talking about. And that district, you hear, Suma, and you hear BlackRock talk about District of Tonopah. I mean, the Walker Lane trend, that is prolific. Hamilton was the one that was forgot about. 1860, they went in from 1868 to 1872, mined 40 million ounces of silver hand to mouth. That is how high grade that district is. And no one's gone back. No one. No one in the 80s, no one in the 70s. A person had it in the 60s, did a chip sample, he had 25,000 grams a ton silver. Not silver equivalent, silver. And so when we got out there, I went out with Dave, myself, and our geologist, and we started sampling. And we're going to run a very detailed program this year and drill target and hopefully drill it. Or we will drill it. But when we started sampling, we noticed not just silver. We're like, well, that's really interesting. We got high-grade silver, but we also have this high-grade copper component, high-grade lead, high-grade zinc. And the first sample we got back, I was like, oh, that must be just like a weird sample. Anything above 150 grams a ton silver in the sample had multiple percentages of copper. We had multiple samples above 5% copper, above 500 grams a ton silver. So not only do we think we have a potential large silver system that they missed because it dips down under the shale, I think it's just sitting there. We think there's a potential for a very large copper porphyry. And you can see that by the work they've done on the outer skirts of the mountain. Waterton had a property there. They were pulling gold. They had some copper grades very low, but typical for a porphyry, you pull out, it goes out, it extrudes out, the grades decline. So we might actually be sitting on it. That will be tested with the drill bit.
All right. Well, that's again something to look forward to. Now, Silverton is where compared to Eliza, and what kind of work have you done there, and what might we look forward to on that as well?
Actually, we've advanced Silverton significantly over the past 2 months. So from Eliza, it's down the mountain range. It's about 120 kilometers from Tonopah. And when I mean road access, it is literally off the highway. I walk onto the site. I park my vehicle. There's roads in there. They've been exploring in that Silverton area for quite some time, looking for gold. No one looked for silver. It was a past-producing silver mine. It produced 900 grams a ton silver. Look for silver, So we got down there. Phil Mulholland, our chief geologist, we've spent a lot of time down there this past 2 months. We started to notice that the way the ore body is dipping, or the potential ore body is dipping, it goes underneath the young volcanics and underneath the shale. Kind of similar story to Eliza. Similar stories to a lot of other major discoveries lately where they didn't have the technology back in the day. So we staked a whole swath of new ground based on where this projected dip is going. We just entered into the permitting process 2 weeks ago. I anticipate we'll be getting them here in the next week or two to permitted for drilling. So we will have 2 of our 3 projects. Idaho's fully permitted, ready to drill, and has been drilling. Silverton, permitted, ready to drill. Eliza, I will have permitted and ready to drill in the next few months. So when you talk about catalysts of a company, everyone talks about their great discovery. We have a potential for 3 great discoveries in all high-grade past-producing districts. It's actually insane, in my opinion.
Absolutely. So maybe that's a good way for us to kind of bring this all back, full circle. Maybe you can tell us the kinds of catalysts, more specifically, that investors can look forward to over the rest of this year and even into next year, in terms of the kind of progress you're going to be making on the different projects and what they can keep an eye out for.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm going to predicate this with we really didn't get going until late June last year as a company. I joined in late June. We brought in Strand in late June. And if you look at our press releases from last year, we had, I think it was 42 press releases, all significant. There's no fluff releases in there. They were all significant. Results, board member, results. I will continue with that. We will continue drilling at Strand. We will start testing it down to about 250 meters. Typical for the Revette formation, the silver gets higher grade as you go down. So if we're talking that we have 300 to 800 grams a ton silver 17 meters below surface, I mean, there's a high potential that the gold and the silver get better grades as it goes down. We got an independent report, which, reports can be fun. I was a little nervous. We got it, and it was fantastic. It was from a PhD geo, structural expert. He's worked for Lucky Friday, Hecla. He's like staple in Coeur d'Alene. And people know him not even just in Coeur d'Alene, he's a staple in the industry. And his thoughts on the district size scale of Strand he's like, it's there, drill it. So not only do we have surface potential, we have underground from Strand. Now we have Eliza. We're talking about that potential copper porphyry. We're talking about the high-grade silver. So we're going to drill that. We're going to do a lot of geophysics, some more sampling. So we probably see some sampling results coming out here in the next few months. Looking at what we're going to be doing at Silverton, which will be including, everything from geophysics to RC drilling to, we want to do it cost effectively. You don't just go stick core in the ground for no reason. We're trying to test. RC is a very quick way to test and see what the mineralization is doing. So not only do we have those catalysts coming up, if we get to a point with Silver Strand where we put a significant resource on that, we could put that back into production. So not only do we have these exponential growth potentials, we have the production potential.
So maybe a two-faceted approach later on, where you could actually have some cash flow and use that to help fund not only maybe growing that very project, but the other ones that you have that are earlier stage. So
No, yeah, I mean, I know we're going to be out of time here in a second, but I think it's really important when you're listening to these conversations and we're talking about it is you recognize the share structure, and you recognize like our share structure is very tight. We have 38 million shares out. I own 4% of the company myself. So forward-looking statements. But when you look at that, and having the potential of Silver Strand to cash flow other operations means that we don't need to go back to the market once that happens, which means our share structure will stay how we get to that. So there's a lot of potential for us to keep this very tight, very tightly held, and productive.
Excellent. Well, certainly a lot to look forward to. And I think that you're going to keep observers and shareholders busy just keeping track of all the progress.
I hope so too. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Morgan.
Thank you very much.